what it is, man. I appreciate y'all once again for being back tapped into this Off-Rip TV, this Colorado content. All right, so look, hey, in this video, man, it's a gang of different little clips, right, that I had pieced up. And in this video, it explains how the Bloods started down here in Denver, right? How the Crenshaw Mafia started down here. And what's crazy is because I always wanted that. I ain't gonna lie, like, shit, everybody know how the Crips started. You feel me? But I always wondered how the Bloods started down here. But yeah, in this video, you feel me? It kind of explains that. And I'm gonna touch up on this video too, man, because in certain little clips, in certain parts, they be saying stuff that ain't right. Well, of course, though, you know what I mean? Like, that's what anything they be putting in these newspapers and on TV and all that. So I'm gonna just touch up on it just a little bit.
The Crips and the Bloods have traveled east to large and small cities, including Phoenix, Denver, and Omaha. So what does a community do when the Crips and the Bloods come to town? Denver, Colorado has been struggling with that question for 4 years. In 1985, when the first Crip came to visit relatives, he was not seen as a threat, even though he convinced 2 existing gangs to take the Crips' name.
All right, so what he just said was the founder from down here went to California, right, and convinced them to take their name, and then came down here and started banging that, which ain't true. A lot of people get this confused, but the rolling 30s down here don't got nothing to do with California. You feel me? Like, that's their own little thing. Like, the 30s, them is our own streets and all that down here. So, yeah, it ain't got nothing to do with Cali.
Disperse now, leave the streets.
In 1986, there was a flurry of attention when a neighborhood festival ended in a riot after a sniper, believed to be a gang member, shot a policeman. But there was no organized response.
The Crips, they want to be better than the Bloods, and the Bloods want to be better than the Crips.
So they fight.
So they fight and see who's going, you know,
who stand up
to yeah, like the tallest.
Over at the Open Door Youth Gang Ministries, headed by the Reverend Leon Kelly, former gang members joined Kelly in turning thumbs down on the bill. They were asked to respond to specific provisions. Number 1, gang graffiti would carry a mandatory 1-year jail term for a second offense.
Y'all see dude with the hat, with the Lakers hat on, with the Lakers jacket, who's talking? That's the founder of the Crips, man. Psycho Mike, Big Psych. That's the nigga who started Crip down here.
That's part of combating the problem. You shouldn't give them no year or 2 or 3 years in jail because it ain't gonna get cleaned up. All that's gonna happen is that somebody gonna say, "Oh, my homeboy got locked up for spraying on." All right, we gonna sneak around tonight and we gonna spray up everything.
And the police station. You think about it, nobody has really been caught doing writing graffiti anyway.
In the daytime,
people's gonna have to stop underestimating, the fellas. You're not gonna see nobody in the broad daylight go out and just hit up.
It could be the mayor's house. You don't care. You going down there, you gonna symbolize, okay, this is the hood that we want. We gonna write on everything. What we don't care if it's got gold or whatnot. We gonna write everything that our name on it. So what? Who house is it?
Number 2, adult and juvenile jails would be authorized to segregate gang members to stop recruiting in prisons.
It's just like putting an alligator over here in this one corner and putting a crocodile right here and just waiting to see who's the best. But yet it's still holding them off from each other. You know what I'm saying?
Number 3, sentences would be increased to 5 years if a crime is committed with an automatic weapon.
I see that as adding on to the problem. I see that as adding on because they're only looking at it as one way. Well, if we can lock them down, that's not, and that ain't how it is. That's not reality. If you come to reality, you got to work with something to change it.
Number 4, adding an undetermined number of drug enforcement agents to the Colorado Bureau of Investigations. And finally, the allocation of $2.3 million state dollars to fight gang violence.
You put 25 men on the street that, okay, it's there. They getting big fat paychecks, driving these big beautiful cars. But you put a Reverend Leon Kelly and I guarantee you he could do more work than one day than they could do in a whole year. And it won't even cost no $2 million. It won't cost nothing. Okay, 50.
We're not even getting paid now.
Exactly.
Like if you Google, later on, if you ain't got nothing to do, Google Phil Jefferson. That's my homie that from my hood that went to Denver like in the 80s. And it was him and 2 of his homies that started Cripping out there. But I guess he didn't want him to claim die, so they started San Diego, Rolling 40s out there or something. Well, if you Google Phil Jefferson, that pop up the whole story was like him. Phil Jefferson was my hood. He gave me my hood name.
Because they've seen Colors and Boys in the Hood and all that stuff.
We got a problem here?
And they thought it was sort of cool.
But by 1993, gang intimidation and movie adoration turned into murder.
When the bullets started to hit their mark, it took it to another level.
I was full-fledged gangbanger at the age of 17.
James Miller was born in Denver's Park Hill neighborhood and says the summer of '93 was the pinnacle of his gang activities.
Selling drugs, smoking weed, getting drunk, terrorizing the neighborhood. The gang was a brotherhood for me. At 16, 17 years old, how do you really gauge that? There's a lot of death. I was accused of killing a young man for his Bronco jacket. During my trial, I was found not guilty of first-degree murder, convicted of attempted aggravated robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, and first-degree assault. I was given 64 years altogether. I did 26 years straight.
It's time he cannot get back, but time he can give back to others.
I'm hoping to get involved with the Open Door program, help kids.
What they call you, bro?
They call me Big P Loco.
Big P Loco. Tell me about the influence, man. Was the Crips and Bloods out here when you was 10, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah, it was Crips out here. It wasn't no Bloods. We had the BOYZs and up in Park Hill, but we didn't have no Bloods when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, but we did have Crips, 107 Hoovers, you know what I mean? Rolling 30 gangsters from the east side, you know what I mean? East side rolling 30s. Not to be confused with the LA rolling 30s.
Right. 1989, the Crips and Bloods had started recruiting whites and Hispanics as well as blacks. Their numbers had grown to over 1,400 members, and they were impossible to ignore. They filled wall after wall with their graffiti.
Does this look serious, man?
And made the news with their gangbanging, their word for fighting, and their shootings, which reached one a day this spring.
When did the Bloods come out here, and when did you know about them?
I first met the Bloods in summer of like 1985. Right up the street from here right now in Skyland Park. We was passing the park. And it was some older brothers, you know what I'm saying? They were older than us. I'm like 12, 13 at the time. Bash was like 14, 15 at the time. And we was passing the park. And they was like, hey, little man, y'all want to sell them bikes? You know what I mean? They was over there doing their thing, pushing work and doing all that. So we took the bikes over to them. They were like, hey, man, how much you going to give? They said $100. So they gave us $100 a piece for both bikes, you know what I mean? So we had $200. So we caught the bus right back up there and stole up some other ones, you know what I mean? Kept a little $100. And so in that process, we had developed that little friendship with them. And then actually they bought those bikes from us as well, you know what I mean? So in the process of that, my homie Basker's sister, she had ran into Jaybird from Denver Lanes, you know what I mean? And I guess they started liking each other. So that brung it even better.
And by close affiliations with Los Angeles neighborhoods. So you guys are Bloods?
Yeah, Crenshaw Mafia. Inglewood Watts, Crenshaw Mafia, Gangsta Blood, 104th Street.
All right, now look. I ain't trying to keep stopping the video, but it's stuff that I got to touch on. Okay, so he just said he from Inglewood Watts. I know a lot of y'all like, what did he just say? Man, y'all got to think about it. This was in the 80's. And in the 80's, gangs had just came down here. So what he probably meant to just say was he from Inglewood, because if I ain't mistaken, Inglewood is where the Crenshaw Mafia is at, right? But he said I'm from Inglewood Watts, and he put both of them together. And them is like two different things, you feel me? But I'm going to say this too. Man, it's still a lot of people that don't know nothing about what's going on out there. Like, if it wasn't for this YouTube stuff, I swear to God, even me, I wouldn't even be knowing half of this stuff. So I'm going to just say this, man. He didn't mean to say Inglewood Watts. He just got some stuff mixed up. That's it.
Such affiliations carry with them decades-old hostilities between those Los Angeles neighborhoods true to the Crips and those loyal to the Bloods.
They've been trying to kick up dust. They've been trying to kick up dust, but little do they know, it's about to be on. That's real.
Giving the wrong hand sign,
Crip killer for life,
or wearing the wrong color can mean death. The Bloods claim the color red, the Crips blue, and anyone wearing a rival color is fair game.
My big homeboy Mumbles was in the county jail fighting a little case, you know what I mean? But he used to call the house all the time. I never met him at this point in time. So when he's called the house, and I accept his phone calls. He touched down, get out of jail, and we clicked automatically. Like I said, he about 18, 19 at this time. He is, you know, about 17, 18, 19 at this point in time. But we clicked, me, him, and Basper, and that's how the Crenshaw Mafia is for. As far as me and Basper claiming a set was due to Mumbos, you know what I'm saying? But we did have homies out here that was representing it, you know, Big Bob, Taco, you know what I'm saying? Hank, you know what I mean? We call him Markel, you know what I mean? His little brother, Lil B, Dane, you know what I'm saying? Money Mike, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is back in the 80s, you know what I mean?
So you saying some names, Taco and Dane. Are they the same Taco and Dane that come from Crenshaw Mafia in L.A.?
Yes, they are. They're from Inglewood, yeah.
Right.
Inglewood,
my bad.
Big Top, Big Dane, you know what I mean?
Right.
Big Mumbo.
Nationally, the FBI reports the number of juveniles murdered by firearms has increased 80% in the past 5 years.
Last summer, Delonte Carolina, a Northeast Denver high school student, was killed in a drive-by shooting. He was one of 3 boys killed recently during the war between the Crips and the Bloods.
Hands on top! Hands on top of the car!
While the cocaine derivative crack is central to many gang members' economic survival, it's the colors they wear that gang members are willing to fight and die for.
They call themselves Cuz, which is black slang for cousin. You'll see the graffiti with Cuz, C-U-Z-Z, or just C-U-Z. And their favorite phrase is, "What's up, Cuz?" Now that phrase can start a war.
Parents often either don't know about their children's activities or don't want to.
How old are you?
13.
13? Where you go to school?
Cole.
Cole? You been in trouble with the police before? Never? I want to get your picture here. Stand by. Come here. A little closer. Where's he been?
Dawkins' questions were interrupted by an angry father who called the youngsters away.
Girl. Jump in y'all damn home right now. Go home.
All right.
Yeah. Don't y'all quit fucking.
Looks like we're talking.
What?
We're talking. We are talking with them.
Well, people know.
Does that mean that you and Basper are the only 2 that started that wasn't from Inglewood?
Exactly. We were the first 2, actually. Me and Basper was the first 2 to actually be quoted, you know what I mean, on Crenshaw Mafia. That was actually from Denver. And like I said, I'm around 12, 13. He's around 14 or 15 at this time. I'm 48 years old now, so that lets you know how long we've been doing it. You know what I mean?
So following the influence of those guys from Inglewood, you and Basper influenced the rest of Denver, or the other population that eventually came Crenshaw Mafia. Y'all the big homies, is that correct?
And Basper's big brother.
4 years ago, the NewsHour interviewed Damon Roberts. At the time, Roberts was a cocky 16-year-old who bragged about being a member of a gang called AK.
AK means anybody killer, gangster. I mean, I killed Crips and Bloods, you know, whoever.
Back then, Roberts thought Denver was a new frontier for tough young drug dealers.
This is the Big Easy. That's what they call it. The Big Easy. It's easier. You make more money in littler towns. LA's a big city. They have a lot of gang members, so if all of them are selling drugs or doing whatever, they ain't that much money. But if they come to a town like Denver where they ain't hip, then they can make all the money they can.
Roberts is now dead, a casualty of the same violence he once embraced. Police say Roberts was shot to death by a 14 and a 16-year-old in a drug deal gone sour. In 1989, Reverend Leon Kelly tried to persuade Damon Roberts and other teens to leave the gangs. Back then, as a gritty reminder of the dangers of gang life, Kelly covered his office walls with clippings about murdered gang members in Los Angeles. Today, Kelly's walls are filled with the names of murdered Denver youth.
The true story, the bottom line is, if we don't get a handle on the situation now, it's gonna be out of hand, and we're gonna be just like LA. Leon ain't gonna be able to do it. Open Door ain't gonna be able to do it. The police ain't gonna be able to do it. It's just gonna be like a little LA if we don't get a situation under control now.
LA police die, innocent people die. You can be in your neighborhood walking down your street, and I just happen to see a gang baby driving. You walking by, you gonna get shot.
What was your thoughts, man, when you heard your city hit the map? DJ Quick put it international. That man, he
said I had a show up in Denver with this bunk ass promoter and this bunk ass catering.
Right.
With,
I'm gonna explain some of that too. You know, the reason why he say that is because the Crips got on him. You know what I mean? Out here, the Crips got on him. So they actually the promoter's one of my big homeboys, big brothers. You know what I mean? So what up, B Mac? So what had happened was he promoted, he booked the show in the Crips. You dig what I'm saying? In the 30s.
But the violence continued. And then this summer, things took a frightening turn when firearm violence spilled out of traditional gang turf. A 10-month-old baby was hit by a stray bullet at the Denver Zoo. Another random bullet hit a 6-year-old boy as he played outside his home. A 27-year-old teacher was killed in a suburban parking lot. A 43-year-old man was shot to death while driving his car only blocks from his home. The shootings continued, and most crimes were gang-related. Even the mayor's empty car was riddled by bullets in front of his home.
First thing that went through my mind, as well as my wife's, is that are the kids okay? I'm married, but I'm also a husband and a parent. And we had children, adults, children at home. And the second thing that went through after finding out everyone was safe is that if someone would do this to the mayor's car, it also says a lack of respect they have, that they'll do it to anyone.
The streets got so bad, you can't use your bare fist no more to fight. You have to use a gun now. You go cruising out, you know, you go to the wrong Taco Bell sometimes, people pull a gun on you. It just depends, because they try to act cool in front of their friends. They got a gun, they think they're cool, they think they're bad. You know, they pull it on you. Gang is like a family, you know, all brothers. If they blood brothers, most likely they stick together. That's the same thing in gangs.
To their fellow gang members, or homies as they call them, for love and support, as these suburban Aurora police officers found out.
You live in the neighborhood, you should know what's going on. We're not asking you to be a snitch. We're just trying to find out what's going on. We're just trying to help you.
If somebody took down one of your homies, would you tell us who it was?
No. Why not?
I'll take it in my hands and do it myself. And then what's going to happen to you?
Then you're going to
I get caught, I go to jail. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. It's more than y'all think it is, man. Homies
Why don't you let us help you?
Homies are like family, man.
That love between the fellas is there.
At the end, he said, "Can I go bang with the 30's now?" That's a blood from Crips Mafia, man, from way back in the day. I heard about him, I ain't gonna lie. They said he was out here serving shit too. And what's crazy is, after the police told him they're gonna find you dead somewhere, they said not too much longer, they found Cuz gone on everything. And that's a true story, how they said they stopped like 3 Crips, you feel me, coming up about the smoke Cuz. I heard about that story too.
This summer marks 30 years since the Summer of Violence, a name given to a moment in Denver defined by youth violence, dozens of murders, and teens given life sentences.
Denver 7's Micah Smith begins our 360 in-depth coverage. She reports that families and community leaders still feel the effect of those events all these years later.
Against the backdrop of these almost million-dollar homes is summer memories that are so baked into these Park Hill neighborhood streets. Collectively, they have a name: the Summer of Violence.
You know, I don't like to see young black people out here making the same mistakes I done made. You know, they don't need to be out here trying to kill each other.
We're serious, and we'll be here until we get this problem resolved.
Conditions were right for, quote, an even more violent summer than we had in '93. Well, I looked into Denver crime rates and found 46 murders have been reported in Denver so far in 2023, and that's less than half of what was reported for the entirety of 2021, when murders reached an all-time high. It is important to recognize that high number is partially due to population growth.